Hello everyone, welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Weekend Frivolity, our Broiler Chicken Show. It is getting on, I guess, the end of March here. So if I'm not mistaken, I think today's actually the first day of spring. And it didn't have much of a winter here on the wet coast, I'll tell you that much by crackers. And of course, this crazy COVID world. I hope you're all doing relatively well wherever you are in the world and hanging in there. Happy New Year! I guess, is it New Year to some people? I guess first day of spring's for the Persians. Oh, isn't that interesting? The Persians consider this New Year's. Oh my, what a crazy world we're in here. For the Ganists. Ooh, now you're speaking my language. Suppose I ought to get off my ass and read that book somebody sent me, eh? I suppose what are we supposed to take away from this crazy fugazi world? I mean, week in, week out, I keep showing you the difference between sort of M2 adjusted and newspaper printed prices. It's quite shocking, the difference in the charts, but actually I think to me it actually explains our sort of current state of our society and our economy. I still think we're sort of living in a shadow of the dot-com peak when people really were the wealthiest. And I suppose, the slow transference of that wealth back to the 1% is probably what's happened here over the past 20 years or so. The primary objective, of course, these level 1 or these weekend shows is to talk to the level 1ers and address any specific concerns they might have had. So we have the Q&A document they had, and I noticed by the time we popped over here and looked at this, there was a whole bunch of more questions. So by all means, feel free to add a question in there if you want me to bark about something. I mean, I have no idea. I think it's probably really important just from the get-go. Everybody should understand this, that there really is no sort of set rules in trading and investing your money. And unfortunately, half of this world about sort of taking a risk in this world is just sort of like relative price. What is things relatively speaking? That can be relative to other assets. I think I saw someone on the site recently has been sort of screening their ideas relative to the broader crypto market, which I think is a really great idea. And there are people in the stock market, like our CanSlim model we teach in the level 1 program. L stands for market leadership. So what Mr. O'Neill wanted to see was whatever idea you're interested in, it should be in like that top 5, top 10% performers in the market. Joshua McGowan, I don't know, you have your name on, I think, so I guess I'm allowed to say that. We call him Shark Toshi on the site. I've been sort of talking him through how to use the screeners and the top 5 top 5 lists on our site to sort of point your algorithms. If you're going to be day trading and the market is bullish, point your algorithms at those top performers, because those are the ones that are going to give you the best returns. And usually, like if it's 2-to-1 setups, they're the ones that perform the easiest. They're just like whoosh, straight to the target. So not quite sure how I got on that tangent, but so there's and then there's also sort of relative performance to itself. Where are we relatively speaking, top of range, bottom of range, that kind of stuff. And that speaks more to, what's your motivation in this game? I hate when I'll look at an asset and I'll see that it's highly priced. And so by definition, if somebody asks me, well, would you buy that asset? I'd have to say, no, sorry. But that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not like bullish of the fundamental story. So I think at the end of the day, a lot of this is relative conversation. And then, at the end of the day, this is the worst part about all this. I mean, who's here actually to make money from trading, quote unquote, and actually would be willing to show their account statement on a year-end basis and show that indeed their account balances are going up? Easier said than done. I mean, that's why a lot of people just stick to good old mutual fund and index investing. If anything, it's one thing that I love teaching TRIers is that one guy here is like, I'll raise my hand. One thing I love teaching about TRIers is that it's actually not that big of a deal. Like, you actually kind of expect that you're making money from trading, right? You're following the process. And generally speaking, that's generally what happens. I mean, you do have to go through correction years. Like, I remember 2014 was basically just straight down. And then 2018 was basically straight down. So what do you think the odds are 2022? What direction do you think 2022 is going to be? I mean, that's almost cliche. Somebody go back and look at what Bitcoin did. I suppose, just let's back engineer the math. When did Bitcoin start? 2008? Is that when it actually came out? When, you crypto people, you'd know that. Actually, it was kind of interesting. I was watching a really cool lecture. Oh, so they avoided that down year. That's probably why he waited for 2008 to finish. Okay, we don't want to launch that year because it'll be a down year. That's funny. So, I was thinking about it. I actually couldn't believe the similarities and, people talking about the 4-year cycle with crypto and Bitcoin and all that. And actually it feels very similar. Like, I don't know whether you remember in, I think it was April of 2017, the the SEC had a big, and Bitcoin was face ripping up to, I don't know, like $1,800 or something like that. And we were all like, oh, what's going to happen? And SEC rejected, and the biggest honking doji bar was put in. I mean, it's just a massive range. Everybody in the space was like, whoa! So I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sort of craziness like that around here. Don't be surprised if there's not some insane volatility. And if anything, I absolutely love the idea. You crypto enthusiasts, now that we have like solid bases in place, throw some serious bids in if you really do want to buy Bitcoin and stuff. And Ethereum, the same sort of Litecoin, same thing. Just get those bids working, because crypto is notorious for just these flash insane moves out of nowhere. But anyway, that's for sort of OGers. Only OGers would sort of consider that. Most people in the public, they just market buy and market sell. So, also too, stock market, same sort of thing. It wouldn't be a bad idea not to chase. Thank you, David. But to, if you are serious about buying names, step in when they crater back against those previous lows there. It's not a bad idea. At the same time, too, make hay while the sun's shining. If you are one of those trader types, ironically enough, actually, I think the market's still generally pointing up. This is the S&P 500. I'd love to get us to the point where we had like the entire universe of all of these as sort of our histogram and market to follow. Because I even think now that crypto is not only part of the risk matrix, but it's also a huge part now of the capitalist system. It's interesting. I get emails and stuff all the time. And actually, just before I was loading this up, I don't know where the hell it is, though. I just out of the corner of my eye looked over at my silly, Yahoo email, which I sort of is my it's an address I have from 1998. That's how long I've used this address. And it's funny because Stuart laughs at me. There's 13,000 unread messages in this email address. So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to catch up or not. But, like the headline coming in my mailbox is stimulus checks headed to the blockchain. Oh, Jesus. And then a survey from Ms. Hoo-Ho, whatever the hell that is, this week found that up to 10% of the stimulus money could be going into stocks and cryptocurrencies. 20% of the people said they were planning on to invest up to 20%, and 13% planned to allocate somewhere between 20 and 80%. 60% of those surveys said they preferred to invest in Bitcoin over traditional. This is such bullshit crap you get in the email. They actually wrote stonks, STONKS. I mean, how silly is that? So obviously not very professional whoever wrote this email, but it's just kind of funny that it's just a writing on the walls. It feels to me like a nice summer crypto orgy is coming. That it does, doesn't it? They're almost like pandering to the audience, which is terrible. It makes for terrible investing, people. Please understand all this. Ironically enough, I bet a lot of sort of serious money managers are probably just saying, you know what, I'm going to let the dust settle for the next couple of years. Just see what the hell the world looks like on the other side of this COVID world. And, if like last March, if you get some sort of panic, throw the baby out with the bathwater event, then maybe I'll step in on the buy side and buy some stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people are just like, gonna leave this stuff alone. I thought it was interesting. Bill Gates was interviewed on one of these Bloomberg financial stations, and he even sort of said, "Oh, if you invest in Bitcoin, watch out." So at least the 1% are covering their ass. They'll definitely be able to 6-8 months from now, if this whole thing is kind of deflates. They'll be able to say, well, I can't say I didn't tell you so, and that kind of talk. So just be forewarned. Probably one of the greatest indicators that this is not really, how do you say this? It's not really a natural, healthy bull market when you start to see the crap start to really rally hard here. So I was a little bit surprised. I don't know which one it is. Things like this little BTT USD BitTorrent. I mean, if you look at it versus Bitcoin, it's been dead. So can you really justify this thing going 10x, 15x here in the past month or two? Is that really such a great anecdote of this thing being so wonderful? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's just, to be perfectly honest with you, and the crypto audience hates when I talk like this, is I think that what's ending up happening here is the whole space is just, being reflated higher. The good part about it is it should help your pocketbooks. The bad part about it, of course, is even things like agricultural products now are being reflated higher. So, things like Brian's crazy loaf of bread indicator story. Bitcoin might be 100 G's, but your loaf of bread's $50. So it's sort of a zero-sum game at the end of the day. What the hell do I do with that damn YouTube page? Jesus, I hate these cells. Too many browser windows. I don't know which one it is. You're probably looking at my whole damn computer set up here now. Sure hope I have the naked ladies away. They often say in the market that the shit rallies last. So when I see an image like this, I mean, this is almost the definition of poop. If there ever was a quote unquote shitcoin, this has got to be it. This thing sat there and done absolutely nothing. And frankly speaking, I'm surprised that it's still even alive. Because I'll tell you, a good chunk of these names, they just died a horrible death, all one by one, Trex delisting them, the only listed on Trex, blah, 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 blah. Somebody saying this is one of Justin's son's babies. So, okay. I know there was also another one, Tube. I thought Tube was the one that he bought, but I don't know. Maybe he bought them both. It's just kind of an amusing anecdote that, even the poop is running up substantially in dollar terms. And actually, this is exactly what I kind of expected. I know it sounds kind of weird, sorry. But I don't know whether we have to expect that. But, that's just something as simple as a 200 period moving average, right? Actually, this is a weekly chart, so that's 30 weeks. That's why I kind of like following 30 weeks and 200 day, is they often actually correspond. So there's the 200 day moving average. There's a big old hole on the profile there. So, the problem here is, anybody should look at this chart and just simply say, am I coming in and buying value up top here? And interesting enough, a guy that I respect highly. Actually, I was surprised. I didn't realize, Grim, if you're watching this, I didn't know you were over at Top Step, so congratulations. Way to go. And from what I understand, you're making lots of money for Nebraska, so I'm sure he's very happy. Their sort of public face over there at Top Step, John Hoagland, I have an immense amount of respect for him. And he was always obsessed with value. And, in fact, the level 2, I don't know whether we have any level 2 students in the call here today. But they just, whoops, it's so big it's going to be hard for me to draw this. But they just learned about P's and D's. And, I don't want to be rude, but, yeah, what the hell, I'll do it. If you go back and look in the 2017, no, even the one before that, 2000, where are we here? I think this chart goes that far back. I remember when I first came into Bitcoin, the chart was basically that. Now, does that look at all familiar? Right here, let's zoom in. So that actually, I came the first time I sort of was introduced to Bitcoin was actually right about somewhere in there. And actually, I remember because Goldman Sachs came out and recommended buying Bitcoins. Typical, eh? And Peter Bray put out a tweet recently about Goldman Sachs is getting all active on the cryptocurrency market. Look out! So, I was even joking on that tweet stream. Hey, go check out when Goldman said buy Bitcoin at $1,100. So there's that same profile. It's identical. Can you see that same profile? And this is what we teach the level 2ers. So, when you see a profile looks like that, Mr. Hoagland, I have immense amount of respect for him. And really all it is just a tag of the old highs. That's all it is. At some point, how long does it take? It takes forever sometimes. I guess that was as far as I think there was one. There you go. Boom. Down you go. All the way down into that level. And, same thing next cycle. So there's the top. See the profile? Does that look a bit at all familiar? P's and D's. Just said that a moment ago. So, and sure enough, down we go. How far did we get down here? I guess all the way back down. Actually be interesting. So if you took a screenshot of that right there, so that's sort of like bottom to top. Interesting, that number there. So 2,800, 2,700 in that level. That's what I would sort of think. But maybe if you, yeah. Well, this is interesting sort of TA as an art form, as a science. I mean, I wonder where you would be realistic to start that study. But anyway you shake it, you probably should have been thinking price has to come back down here. I think ultimately we did bottom somewhere around 3,000 or 4,000. So anyway, down we go, and boom, down into there. So I am not calling tops. Of course, everybody loves when you do that kind of stuff. All I'm saying is you just got to respect the message that the market's trying to tell you. I mean, do we flirt around up top here? Do we have some sort of insane candle that takes us up to 100 Gs? Maybe. I don't know. But just from a value perspective, you can see even when I move that much, it didn't really change a hell of a lot. Looks like somewhere down in this area is probably, where value is, all that kind of talk. So, that's probably the simple message that I'd like to convey. Of course, the problem with that, of course, is, Brian, you're such a fucking party pooper. I'm not going to subscribe to your newsletter. You suck, man. But, the irony of it all is you look at that chart, and really, it's the same damn chart as that BTT. I mean, it's the same thing. I think it was BTT, wasn't it? Just a silly piece of poo. I mean, I don't know whether it's this one or not, but can I come in on the buy side there? I can't. I mean, wow, look at this. This is Justin Sons, right? You can see clearly where you're supposed to be long. That's right down there. And right now, you should be going, I'm a badass motherfucker crypto trader. But you can't be a buyer of that there. That's stupidity. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's not a good word to use. So anyway, I mean, that's probably a really good example of market state right now. True USD. So this is, I guess, versus one of these stable coins. And I see this all over the market. If anything, hats off to Sjord. And actually, it's kind of funny, right? Like, I won't name names or anything, but there was somebody who was like, I don't know, a month or so ago, was like, oh my God, you got to buy Bitcoin at like, 50 Gs or something like that. It's a pretty good trade. I mean, it's not bad. 10-15% return on your money, I guess. And Sjord was showing me, somebody on Twitter was like, dude, you want to fucking tout a call, you should talk to this Sjord guy. What the hell's the coin that he picked? I mean, and it's so great. I mean, fucking, I got Sjord building this whole damn website. I mean, is there any Luna? I mean, and this thing's still going higher. I mean, if anybody deserves hats off for a call, son of a mother. Luna, I mean, Sjord was basically like, I kind of like this idea from a fundamental perspective down here, Brian. And I think it was even like, 60, 70 cents or so. And he's like, Brian, I can't wait for a reload zone. This thing is just too damn good. And I don't fault him, right? If anything, that's why. The rational analysis is, of course, the juxtaposition of fundamental and technical. So you find, me and my crazy VCIM ideas. Hell, I went and bought one of my VCIM screen that's like a fundamental screen idea the other day. And these things don't have any bottoms working. It's just like, oh my God, that's value. I just got to go grab some. So I don't really fault him for that. I don't think it's a good idea to just, bet the farm, keep risks appropriate. But interesting, as this thing was breaking out from about 60 cents, I guess that is. Actually, it'd be interesting. Who can tell me? Number one, let's see. I just want to put the profile away for now because it's too distracting. Nope, that's the wrong one. Hit all these wrong buttons. Okay, and then we'll put that away. Okay, so just looking at this image, who can tell me what this kind of looks like? And actually, I even tweeted another one out that looks exactly like this. And it's actually in the process of just going through this part right here. But what does that look like? There's a gentleman, and I can never remember your screen name, Mr. Rocket Scientist, dude. He's writing a complete trading manual based off these weekend shows. So here's a new one. I don't think you've had this one yet. Yeah, you're gonna have to write more notes. More notes. Cup and handle. Yeah, that's not bad. And actually, I don't know whether anybody's quick on Twitter. I don't have the image just off the top of my head, but whenever I want it, I usually just go and tweet this, and it's in my feed somewhere, and I grab the image. So, does this image look familiar in any sort of way? Maybe yes, maybe no. What I'm going for here, and you might actually even see it better on a logarithmic chart. Well, it's not bad. This actually is, in my eyes, when I see this is actually the definition of chaos. Isn't that kind of interesting? Who can find on my Twitter feed or on the internet the billiard ball fractal theory? And it goes something like this. There's a big left-hand side, then a big thump back, then a push down, then just an absolute like fractal war down at the bottom, then a push back up against these levels, then a pullback back down, and then if we break out of this area, holy bejesus. Can anybody find me that billiard ball fractal image? Let's see. Let's see if anybody on YouTube can find it. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Fractal war. Actually, I'll give you guys a minute to do that. I'll fill my coffee up. I'll be right back. Oh, cafe ole. Did anybody find it? Anybody find it? Well, yeah, I think you might argue that the billiard ball theory fractal is ultimately the expression of a head and shoulders. So, anyway, maybe if somebody can find the billiard ball. I don't have it off the top of my head, but that's sort of what jumped out at me, and something that, you might want to just make note. Whenever we were trading futures contracts, there was a general rule that if you ever saw a futures contract come out and trade to a new contract high after coming out of the gate and pulling back, that is a huge buy signal. And a lot of stocks, same thing. So actually what's really interesting in the stock market is we had an example of that actually it's just happening right now. Jamie, our kick-ass fundamental stock picker, right now it's flirting with its IPO listing high. If it can break out through that, oh boy, all hell could break loose. You probably remember in crypto days gone by, and I don't even know if it's even listed anymore, but it's like sort of dead. But good old Dash. Problem is, where can we get a chart of it going back forever? And when Dash broke out to new highs, this probably isn't the best example, but you can see if we just go on a regular basis, when the contract can break out to new highs, all hell can break loose. I mean, what do you think? Is that not hell breaking loose? Woohoo! Mind you, that's, probably, we used to do it versus Bitcoin. It was a lot of fun. We used to do Amanda's Penthouse and all that kind of fun talk. BTC. But man, Dash sure is on the outs these days, eh? I wonder if there's like a concerted effort to put these guys out of business. It wouldn't surprise me considering that how much they love the whole anonymous angle. So there's your breakout to new highs, I guess, there, right? It went boom and then breakout to new highs and woohoo! So where was I going with all this? You know, the people that can find these ideas when they're just coming out of the gate, the way Sjord did, oh my goodness, you can get so paid, it's ridiculous. I mean, look at that trade, Sjord, you bloody FA crypto god, you. And in fact, you know, he's even saying, hey, this kind of looks like a bull flag, which means it's probably going all the way up here. I mean, gee whiz, this gets ridiculous. Especially, that was the log scale? Okay, so that sort of makes sense now. Yeah, I mean, this is just getting nosebleedy here. I think we probably hit a bit of a foggy level there, but we'll see what happens. And I suppose if I wanted to buy now, ironically enough, notice how that all that this would be if I just force myself to wait for reload zones is just to revisit a previous support. The interesting thing with this is that it's almost like a built-in rise-only market. So it's not. What's the exchange to see the full history of this thing? Luna. George B says, Brian, this is not the full history chart of Luna. So what should I type in to see the full history chart of Luna? Luna, help me out here, George. I know there's about a 10-minute delay on YouTube, so I'll sit and talk like a funny man until I see a response. Hi, everybody. My name's Brian, and I'm sitting here drinking a cup of coffee waiting for George. How's it going? Oh, come on, George. I'm waiting. Which one should I look at? Should I look at Qcoin? Probably Coin Market Cap. Which one's Coin Market Cap? Oh, you mean I can't even do it through TradingView? Boo, hiss, boo, hiss. Yeah. Oh, well. I mean, I don't want to belabor Luna. I mean, really, all I care is... God damn, Sjord, you son of a bitch. Jesus Christ, Sjord's going to take over the world. You think, like, if you can possibly understand, we can connect kick-ass trading. I mean, look how smart that Elon Musk is. But, man, those are terrible calls he's done recently on that Doge. I mean, I do like the trade that he did off the bottom, but unfortunately it was a bit early and the timing wasn't best. But it was a good value trade. But his recent rants about Doge have been a waste of time. You now get someone as smart as Musk, which I definitely think Sjord is. That guy's ridiculously smart. And you now equip him with timing tools and what to look for in this crypto space. Sjord's going to take over the world by the time he's done. Just FYI, keep an eye on Sjord. And he has a beautiful spirit. So if anybody's going to succeed, a guy like Sjord is perfect. Yeah, well, and I was even barking at the Doge community because now they're calling it the Doge Army and they're putting out tweets, stay strong, and I'm like, that, and the reply that I said was, what is it you're trying to stay strong for? You're trying to what? Keep the pump going so that you can make a monetary gain out of this idea? Why are you even here? You know, and then to that reply I attached the picture of myself and the gentleman. I can never remember the guy's name. It's so embarrassing. Should staple it on my forehead. The guy who fucking made Doge. He and I were having fun at the Doge parade. Jackson Palmer, is that his name? Jackson Palmer. Geez, you'd think I'd remember a name like that. That's a power name. Jackson Palmer. I'm here to make a difference. Jackson. I like that name. Okay, so anyway, way to go, Sjord. I mean, Jesus H. Christ. What hell of a pick. But, you know, I love Sjord dearly, but like I said, I mean, I find this kind of funny. I mean, I didn't really... You know, Brian, he just comes in at the bottom end of range and just does his stupid thing. I I stepped in and just, this thing's absolutely at the bottom end of its range and I bought. So, I mean, I'm not really tooting my own horn, but it's almost funny. This is the state of crypto right now. This is probably one of these types of markets where as long as you don't chase, as long as you try and find ideas that kind of look like they're doing this kind of shit, it's probably going to be actually pretty hard to lose money in this space. But a lot of public will lose money because they are going to come in and they are going to chase and they're going to buy yesterday's story and they're going to just sit there. And they'll probably, and my hunch is probably the rest of 2021, these are going to be up and down like a horse drawers. You're going to see people like, hey, I'm up 12% on my trade. Look at me, I'm a trader. Right? And they don't realize the smart money is going to be doing like 10x, 50x, 100x on these investment ideas. So that's probably the backdrop of the environment that we're in. So just try and find ideas that are Wing out versus US dollar now. No guarantees in this business, of course. But man, when these things go, holy for holies. Yeah, I didn't really want to spend too much time on crypto itself. What I really wanted to do was talk to the... actually, a couple things I wanted to mention. So one project that I'm going to try and initiate on the site just because it needs to be done is, and it probably should become, I think what I want to do actually in maybe 2022 kind of ideas, I'd actually like to sort of take a step back and actually write this book that needs to be written, which is this step-by-step, it's probably going to be like 500 pages long of, going from absolutely nothing to full-on, full-bore trader, covering everything that I've taught in this education program, plus a few things that I've missed. And I think it's probably going to be like a 2 or 3 year project from start to finish. But one part... Hey, there you go, Josh. Careful what you say, man. It might just take you up on that. But one thing that I don't know whether we talk about it enough in the education program, but something that I want to try and add to the conversation a little bit more, especially for your level oneers, is this idea of you actually getting in touch with what type of personality you are. And based on the type of personality and these kind of personality tests, they're fairly universal on the internet. It's it's a basic personality test. I can't remember the name of it, but it's pretty universal. And then based on who you are and sort of what your criteria are, sort of Myers-Briggs. Thank you, appreciate it. Really set yourself up in your plan and your trading. If you are a trader or even an investor, maybe even you do the personality type and you find out, actually, investing in money is not for me. Get me the hell out of here. That's fine. They say often what's the definition of insanity? Right, it's doing this. Einstein's right. It's doing the same thing over and over and seeing the same result and getting expecting a different result. So, I like the idea, although unfortunately it's very hard for me after I've done my personality test to put myself in your shoes from your and see the world from your perspective. So, I've done this personality test a few times, and what's kind of interesting is even years gone by, I still come up with the same personality type, which I think I'm kind of proud of, in that I'm a very consistent person in my sort of the way I look at the world. Fascinating how, I do actually like this kind of thinking. There's some people in the world that love me and they love following my thinking and teaching and stuff like that. And there are other people that absolutely hate me and they'd love to murder me right on the spot. And I totally understand that. I'm a loudmouth, opinionated guy. Totally, I get it. I love the idea that I'm an idealist. I love all the freedoms and stuff like that. And I am an enabler. So I like the idea of imparting on the idea that, hey, yeah, you can do this. It's not that difficult. And here is the path. And we've done it for other people, and let's help you do it too. Same time, too, I'm also a realist. This is hard fucking work. And, if you want to be a trader, you have to understand 90 to 95% of the population cannot do this job. So, you might even want to look at those odds and say, well, so what you're saying is I got a 10% chance of actually being one of these guys. Is that those the kind of odds I want to try and set myself up for? But that is the ENFJ kind of guy in me. I'm not going to bullshit you. You don't think I'm a loudmouth? Jeez, okay. Well, that's good. I appreciate that, AE. We often make references to the Matrix, right? And I was very proud after I went through all this, where they kind of went to sort of who are the typical type of ENFJs in our society, and the kind of guy that appeals to me is like the Morpheus character. The interesting thing about this, though, is and I was actually even reading this morning, right? Real idealist, can enable you, believes, and I will believe so adamantly that it might lead to my death, right? But I believe you can do this. And, money doesn't mean anything. What I believe is you can take over your life, take over your freedom, but you have to master yourself. I mean, that's the irony of it all. Is that's the hard part. That's why 90% of the people in this world cannot do this. Is they cannot master themselves. So I really like this iconic. I don't know what the term is, but I do. I'm not gonna tell myself as Neo, right? The superhero. But I'm the guy that says, and each and every one of you, it's great for those that can make the transition. It breaks my heart when I see some that try, and you can see the light in them, but then you can start to see the light flicker out and then they disappear. I mean, it breaks your heart to see that, but it is part of this process, which sucks. And man, I'll tell you, it is so cool when I stumble upon Neos and I release them onto the world. And they go and become millionaires. So, I suppose that's not enough these days. You got to be a billionaire, right? Anyway. But I guess where I'm going with this is that a lot of the frailties of this character actually are me too. Which means that, not only in my personal life, but also in my trading life, because keep in mind, ironically enough, what will end up happening with risking money in the marketplace is the subconscious belief systems that you bring to your own personal life come right out in your trading. If you're an angry person, you're going to trade angry. It is the way that it is. So I do find it fascinating, and it sucks. I mean, it sucks horsecocks. Because you remember JoJo said to me, she said, Brian, you have the chance to make a big difference in this world, but you, my friend, have got to learn how to listen. And I hate that. It sucked. So when I saw this morning, I mean, this is really me, right? The problem is that I live in this sort of, what it'd be interesting. Would you think that with my donation of time and effort to YouTube here, no remuneration, we don't really charge you much money here at TRI to learn all this. I mean, I know places on Wall Street that would charge you like 10 times this to learn this shit. Would you say that I'm an altruistic person? I mean, when I think in my own eyes, I think I am. Would you say that I'm an idealist? Well, just as I said there earlier, I think I am an idealist. But the problem is that sometimes that actually is not really the best thing. And it's tough for me to sort of step back and go, yeah, hey, I'm glad somebody at least appreciates that. Sometimes it's actually not in my best interest. And I often get tripped up. No, we're here to change the fucking world, damn it. I don't care if we have to starve to death. We're here to change the world. So I actually have seen to a certain degree over the past that in a weird sort of way my over-the-top altruism actually is, it's sometimes actually a liability to me, to be honest with you. So obviously, that hit hard home. Terrible. Try to stay calm, but I even was using all of you on public forum to talk a little bit about how I went a little bit nuts there last week. So this really drove home for me, just reviewing who I am. What are the strengths that I bring to trading? What are some of my vulnerabilities? And frankly speaking, I think all of you would be very, very wise to do this, and it should be part of our sort of, that beginning strategic planning, sort of who I am, why am I doing this, where am I going? So, why am I telling you all of this? Well, what I'd really like to do on the site, and I posted it on the site this morning, is I just created this simple Google Docs document. Throw it in the lounge there if you'd like to. But as you can see what I've done here, and I think this would be helpful, so any TRIOGers, people that are a little bit more comfortable with being a little bit more open about, their own personality types. What are some of their sort of shortcomings that they've found even in themselves because of their personality types, and what are the supports that they've put in their trading and even in their life plan to help address those shortcomings. So, and of course I'm super, I want to be a demonstrator of best practices. So if I ask you to do it, obviously, I should be doing it myself. So, there's that summary, and I've included on the document a link to that personality test. So if you want to go do it, awesome, great. I think a lot of our OGers already have done this, but in essence, there I am. There's my personality type. There's my conclusion. There's my sort of strengths. There's sort of my general weaknesses. And then sort of what's my sort of enlarge the screen. I don't know how you do that. We go like that. Any better? And really, this is just simply speaking, from the heart. Really, just one person trying to get better at this silly thing called, managing money and being a market participant. Not really teacher student, just, one guy in the trading pit yelling over at another guy, At the end of the day, ironically enough, all these people on all these damn financial channels and shit like that, they seem to sell you that they're so much better, they're so much smarter, they're so much different than you, when that's just an absolute load of horse fucking shit. They're just as scared, just as uncertain, just as whatever as you or I buying some little shitcoin and asking whether it's going to buy us a Lambo or not. it's no difference. No difference at all. So, as I went through my life, and of course understanding my personality type, structure really helps a guy like me. And what's interesting is, but once I have that established structure in place and I feel comfortable, that's that, reduce anxiety, then really all I want to do is just keep doing more of what works and less of what doesn't. I mean, that's the whole point of the whole trading plan, is to just, a lot of people that come to this, they don't even know what to do to begin with. What is a trade setup? What is appropriate risk? I don't even know what the difference between a stock and a futures contract and a forwards contract on Altcoin is. What's the difference? I mean, I could buy Bitcoin in the stock market. I could buy Bitcoin on some DeFi platform. I could buy Bitcoin. I think these things are Bitcoins. They call them forwards on some Chinese cryptocurrency exchange that I got a cool email link from. And I have no idea what's going on there because they don't speak English. But what the hell, man? I got to get in. I don't know. So the point here is just simply, as soon as I sort of establish a structure to what I'm doing, then the anxiety just starts to melt away. Okay, I've got my structure. I know what market I'm trading. I know how much money I'm going to put into a trade. I know my setups, and it's just, okay, now I just go have fun in the market and just trade. As my personality profile highlighted, making difficult decisions for me and my personality is actually really hard. And it's interesting because in my life, I go back and I think about my lack of making a decision and just simply saying, meh, it'll sort itself out. Or, meh, it was meant to be. Or, meh, I'm too lazy, let's go smoke a doobie. Whatever, that's actually a real problem with me. And so the only way I can succeed at this is, before I do anything, I just have simple rules. If this happens, you better fucking do that. And if that happens, you better fucking do that. And if you don't, then really, why are you even talking to these people? You have no position to talk from of a position of authority. You're just another fucking idiot who can't do what they say they're going to do. So when I approach it from that, then I don't want to be embarrassed speaking in front of you. So if I say, do what you say you're going to do, well, I better bloody well do what I'm saying I'm going to do. So at the same time, too, hey, we all make mistakes. I mean, it's just life. And if anything, I don't think it's a good idea for anybody to set themselves up to be bulletproof. You're just asking for trouble. So, if anything, I like the idea of building into your plans that you actually expect to be wrong. That it's impossible to be right 100% of the time. So, I know I am going to be stopped out at some point. It's just a brutal reality of life as a trader. Once you do that, then actually getting stopped out, it's no longer any big ego hit, right? Most of the time, when people get stopped out, they take some sort of personal offense to it, like, I suck. Well, maybe your setup sucks and it doesn't produce desired results, at least 66% of the time. That's one thing. But ironically enough, if you can actually act when you're supposed to act and your stop gets hit and you get stopped out and you book the loss and you move on, you took appropriate risk, that's actually a good thing. That just shows that, hey, actually, it's not behavior that I have to deal with. It's just I got a shitty setup, and let's go find a better setup. But the point here is that as a human, if I do find myself slipping a little bit, well, I'll just dial things down. Maybe I was betting 5 Gs. I'll dial that down to like 2.5. Maybe still not really doing very well. Let's dial that down to $1,000. Still booking losses? All right, let's dial that back down to $500. Whatever. The point here is half of my job as as a money manager, managing and running my own small business, is I have to also be sort of like my own boss. And I have to sort of, in a weird sort of way, you have to be a little bit schizophrenic, where you have to sort of step outside yourself and look at yourself and assess yourself. I'm not going to say that's an easy task. A lot of people don't like doing that. They're just like, I'm perfect. I'm never wrong. And of course, those people, they're never wrong until they are. And then when they are, usually it's an absolute disaster. So, I suppose one could argue a big part of being a good trader is also being stunningly humble and understanding that there is no way in hell you will ever be right 100% of the time, which means you have to be okay with being wrong. Again, 90 to 95% of the population cannot do that. I'm an idealist, which means that, of course, I always assume the best in people. I always assume perfection. I'm disappointed when I don't see perfection out of others. I don't understand why you can't be perfect. And I recognize that that's a fault in myself. That when I see other people fail at jobs that I think are relatively easy, I have to understand that, okay, unfortunately, maybe the world doesn't work at my, crazy ass expectation level, and that there are going to be mistakes, kind of like, up here. If I'm, as I said, an eternal optimist and also kind of a / perfectionist, because you kind of have to be when you're a trader, this is sometimes to enough fault. But interesting with regard to my eternal optimism, it does mean that I like to favor the long side of the market versus the short side. So what I actually have found in my behavior is, the old adage, make hay while the sun's shining. And this is just speaking to the trader that I am. Is in bull markets, I'll be very, very active, banging out doubles right, left, and center and reloading, yada, yada, yada. And then in bear markets, I just go quiet. And I just don't do a hell of a lot. Maybe just, nibbling against bottom ends or ranges, not really making a lot of money, and just sort of twiddling my thumbs. And then, as I had sort of said before, and this was sort of a test, and frankly speaking, that's half of the reason why I did this school. And actually, one of our first students, he noticed this in me, and he made that observation, Jerome. Then a lot of people like to go into the teaching profession because they always say, if you can't teach somebody else and then demonstrate through best practices, then really you don't subconsciously believe you can actually do it yourself. And so half of this project of mine and my personality type is just to simply, number one, be very articulate about these concepts so that anybody can do it. And then that way that clearly demonstrates that I know them. And then number two, actually demonstrate the concepts for you through the community. So, that's my perspective on trading in the world. That's not you. It's not even going to be close to you. What I think would be kind of cool is our OGs, and some of them are very, very successful traders. But it would be great, as sort of a request for good old Brian, if we could maybe build like a library of sort of testaments. And what I did was I just created a just simple little copy this, come down to a new page, right? Maybe just hit like insert page break and fire it in there. And you don't have to say your whole name or screen name. Shark Toshi, you're a type of guy that I'd love to see kind of your sort of take. love to get like Julian and Sjord to do one. Maybe some of our instructors, TAs, Kevin. I think he'd be a really great sort of model. That's my hope, my desire. So anyway, that's a project I've been working on, and I'd love to be able to, in the future, part of this sort of introduction, that's sort of why I did this today, because I think this is a big part of the level 1 course, is this idea of trying to figure out who you are, what motivates you, and how do we sort of work on your strengths and then build supports around your potential weaknesses. So maybe if our OGs don't mind participating, Ryan, I think of you would be awesome. You don't have to be nearly as personal as I have here. It can be really basic stuff, but that's my request to sort of the senior members of the community, and I'd love to be able to put this as a resource for level 1ers to just sort of see what other veterans go through this sort of personality test kind of sort of it's self-exploration. It's the difference between the people that are sort of looky-loo, hey, I just want to flip some Bitcoins and make some money, and those people that really are like, hey, this is a business of making money from trading that should be sustainable through basically this business. Once it's up and running and operating correctly, it should never close, right? You should be trading for the rest of your life. And pretty, like even a guy like me now, I've got like 200,000-300,000 of shit coins over there on Trex that were all the free coins from that last cycle. I mean, technically, I should never sell any of those, right? If they double in price, great. I showed you that BTT. It makes me laugh. Should I be taking some profits? I don't know. What are you supposed to do? The funny thing is, in the Bitcoin matrix, it looks like this. There it is. And I showed you guys, every single week when I do these free videos, I almost always show you this screen. And oh yeah, I'm going to pick up some of this piece of shit and I'll be selling halves on doubles and blah, blah, blah. So that's this trade right here. That was that ad trade that I just told you about. I had a whole bunch more from previous. So if I'm just going to do the sell half on double strategy, well, I probably should just have my order working at 16 sats and not even think about this. I don't know when the hell that's going to be, though. I have no idea. If you're telling me Justin Sun's involved, oh, Jesus, Mr. Sun, Mr. Golden Sun. Speaking of which, how's his other one doing? It kind of backed off a bit, eh? See, I thought this was Justin Sun's, this tube. But you can just see, it's same sort of thing. These pieces of shit, they're just bumping along the bottom end of the range. And at some point, they're going to wake up and banging out doubles. And who knows what the hell the price of these things are in US dollars when that happens. But that's just what I'll be doing. It's so funny, I swear. This stuff makes you laugh. But, this is the point. When did Snoop Doggy Dogg and when did Gene come into names? They came in on these events. For God's sakes, don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. Just don't do it. I bet you there's a lot of them. Like I put a tweet out and I sort of, some guys like, stay strong, Doge Army, we love you, Elon. And I'm like, stay strong for what? Who cares what the hell this thing does? And the irony of it all is if you actually talk to the guy who wrote the Doge code, there is no value to this. It's pure fluff. Its blockchain is validated by Litecoin. As long as Litecoin's alive, it'll just keep bumping along, doing its thing. Oh, goodness. Anyway. Where do we take the conversation? Oh, yeah, let's pop on over and take a look at the questions. And then maybe it's just be a short one because these 2-3 hour marathons, they're not really that smart. It's just Brian blabbing away. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Take a sip of my beverage. Hi, Brian. I'm in level 1 program. I'm still working on my trading plan, and one of my goals is understanding if I can trading for a living and quit my day job. Oh boy, there's a potion for disaster. I'm taking 1 year of time to understand those things. Am I patient and disciplined enough? Am I able to follow my trading plan? My setup reach a win rate of 66%. In bear market, am I able to make money? Others. All rational questions taught in the course, but what are yours suggested before make this step? All right. Honestly, let's quit with the bullshit. Alessandro, if you are serious and you want to be like quote unquote trading for a living within 1 year, what I want to see is I want to see you taking every fucking setup there is. I mean, every single day I want to see it. Okay, I'm in this bot. I'm in this Altanganator. I'm in this Davo. I'm in this setup. I got 2 to 1s. There's my stop. There's my entry. And just seeing that spreadsheet just filling up trade after trade after trade after trade. Every setup, you do that every single day for the next 365 days straight. You will be a pro trader. It's that simple. Let's just quit with the bullshit and get in there and do it. I mean, what I see ends up happening, and there was somebody on the site that came on about 6 months ago, well, actually probably about a year or so ago, same sort of thing. I'm going to learn about myself. And that's fine. You can do that, but I never saw them take the goddamn setups. You got to keep taking setups every single day. What did I learn? Journal. What did I see? What did I learn? Did anything of significance happen? How am I feeling? Every single day you're in there taking setups, opening range trades. I don't care. Altangonators, bots, every fucking day you're in there hunting. That's the way you get good at this. You do that every single day. You show me that. Hell, this person came onto the website, Brian, I want to be a day trader. I said, fine, show me 10 day trade setups in a row, perfect, no mistakes, and I believe that you're heading in that direction. So they showed me one, and it wasn't a valid setup. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, very simply put, anybody can do this, but you have to quit with the talk, and you have to show me. Alessandro, if you had said, here's my link to my spreadsheet in the level 1 program, I had no fucking clue what I was doing the first month, but you told me just to get in there and throw in the spreadsheet setups, and I just randomly just did levels. Here's a 2 to 1 off of this crazy level, got stopped out, and I saw like 20 of those where you really got the idea of 2 to 1 on every single trade, and you would have been surprised on some of them. They went up to your target. On others, they didn't. And then as the course progressed in your spreadsheet, I see you, hunting W's in price. I see you starting to use reload zones and starting to pick trade location, using 50% rules as profit objectives. You start using indicators, showing me W's and indicators if we're thinking about buying. Crisp confirmed W's. Now you know Willie, even overbought or oversold conditions on Willie. Show me the setups every single day for the next year, and you will do it. You don't do the setups, you hum and haw about, oh, maybe this is a setup, maybe it isn't, and no, I don't know whether I'm doing this right, and maybe you book like 1 paper trade in a month kind of idea. No, you're not going to get there. So, there is your very blank, very point of fact response answer. I saw this question earlier, and I want you to succeed. I don't know whether you can do what I just said, but you want to be a pro trading for a living within 1 year. Get off your ass and show me a spreadsheet of just a bazillion setups. Every fucking trade you're taking it. And it can be all paper right now. Maybe you're trading off like 15-minute charts, so you're seeing setups all over the place. And even on the site, I was, over the past week, I was showing you guys setups all over the place. There's fun ones. Look at this. This is 3 different setups on one asset, VET here, right? There's a nice little bot, boobity-boo, right? A, B, C, D, so that's a setup. We even talked about like FOMOing in and averaging in, and okay, we'll work a reload zone bid. Well, it turns out this one didn't kind of fill. Okay, well, as the thing's working away, and hey, look, there's another bot set up. So this is just one asset where there was like 3 different trades you could have logged. I mean, they're everywhere, right? They're losing trades. Here was some of these short ideas. This one, this was a winning idea. But this one, I think, was a loser, right? So the point here is here's 2 setups. Point is, this is what I need to see. Need to see that spreadsheet. Need to see it filled out. You got to get to work. You got to show me the setups. Simple as that, Alessandro. Next week, right? Do you have yours? You're in the level 1 program. You're coming up to the end of it. You were specifically told to hunt 100 paper trading setups. How many are you up to now? Maybe you're at 20. Maybe you're at 30. Just you get to that 100. You're saying you want to be a day trader. Well, you're probably operating off of like 1-hour charts for location, maybe 15-minute for your actual candle and divergence signals. Yes, it's achievable. If you want to do this, you have to put the setups on paper. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Quite a rant. I did see that earlier. And what I'm I guess I'm not done. What I really, I've seen over the past few years is people hear me. They hear me talk the setups, and then they kind of call themselves a professional trader, but they don't go that last step where you got to do the actual work. All right. And the interesting thing, Alessandro, is if you do what I just told you there, by the end of that 100th paper trade, you will see that the evidence will be overwhelmingly obvious. All right, enough ranting. Okay. Hi, Brian. Could you please explain your different approach regarding inside bars and outside bars? Your different approach? Not quite sure what that means. Because you don't take wicks and tails into consideration. I don't. I do. I'm not quite sure who says I don't. But in the level 1 program, we studied that wicks and tails should be engulfed. Absolutely. Included in the body of the previous next bar. Thanks. Absolutely. I mean, grab any old chart. Doesn't really matter. What's really cool, of course, on the site is we've got things like key reversal screeners. So the bar patterns themselves are hugely, hugely important to me. So here's an example of an inside bar. So this bar right here is completely inside this big green bar. We can't call it a harami because the opening of this big bar is 364 and this bar's high is, whoops, did I say that right? Open, I beg your pardon, close. Close is 482 and this bar's high is 484. So it's, in this case, we would call this a bearish inside bar or a bear rami. We cannot call this harami, which is the textbook definition of a Japanese inside bar, like a well-defined one, because harami actually translated to English stands for pregnant lady with baby in body. something along those lines. And clearly you can see part of baby's head is sticking outside of mama's yaya here. So you can't call that harami, but we can definitely call that an inside bar. All of this price action was contained inside this bar. And, our fractal system, 3-bar fractal, 1, 2, 3, if we break this low right in there, well, that is technically a fractal failure. It's 3 bars. Of course, the ideal fractal failure is a 5-bar fractal. But, even there are tools like the Williams fractal tool that will spit up a fractal top signal here on the break of this bar that is a 3-bar fractal failure. So, very important that we take all of the price action into account. And how do we define what this candle pattern is? Can't call that harami. We can call that a bear rammy, and that's sort of our cheeky name for it. And it is technically a 3-bar fractal failure level. Now on the other side, here is an inside bar. This is a bullish one. We cannot call this harami, because you can see part of baby's inside bar head is sticking outside mama's yaya. So it is definitely a 3-bar fractal reversal, but it's an inside bar, yes. We could call this a bull rammy. It's an inside bar. But you can't call it harami. Harami means that the entire inside bar, the wick, the tail, the body, everything is inside mummy's body. So I don't know whether that helps with that definition. My favorite candle pattern, although they're hard to see, but this is a good example of just a simple one, is the bullish engulfing bar. So here you can see that we opened up lower than the previous low. All right, previous low was there. 170 even. And we opened up this day 169. And then we come screaming around and actually close above the bar's high. This is what's called an engulfing bar. And to me, I don't, some people in candlestick bodyland, they consider this an engulfing bar, but I don't. I'm a truist. I don't think this is an engulfing unless this low is actually engulfed as well. Now, the candle body engulfing bar action, is it a tradable, usable signal? Well, you tell me. I mean, fuck, it looks like it went up. So I'm not going to say that you can't use it. You use it at your own discretion. I would call this that 3-bar fractal. And actually, you might even argue that's actually a nice 5-bar fractal on the break of there. Is this an inside bar here? No, because actually we were above that high here. So you can't call that an inside bar. Same thing with the engulfing pattern. This is not an inside bar. In fact, actually what we call this is an outside upside reversal. Right? It opened up outside, it went upside, and it reversed. So it's definitely not an inside bar. This is an outside bar. But as I said before, I can't really consider this a outside upside reversal because we didn't open up outside this range. So I don't know whether that helps. Is the person who asked that question, are they here? Are you here? Did that help? Hope so. Is that you? Zachariah? All right, cool. All right. Hi, Brian. I'm confused about the 3 high-low method we went over in class. Specifically, which high or low do you pick? Can you please walk through that process again? Thank you. You know, to be perfectly honest with you, I was a little, what's the word? I don't know whether I really want in level 1 for us to be talking about stop management. I do understand that the bot trading system, technically it has that move stop to trailing levels. So you're kind of like, well, you're teaching us this setup, but you don't want us to be managing stops. What the fuck? The simple answer to your question is that we go over stop management rules and specifically the 3 high-low method in the I guess it's the second week back from the level 3 program. So it's not really something I really want the level 1ers to be too stressed about with moving stops, because it's like adding more anxiety into the equation. To be honest with you, for like level 1ers, I'd almost prefer that we just simply say with the bot, you're just going to move stop to scratch on the 50% tag, and then not really even give you the discretion to move stops along, because I just don't think it's actually in your best interest to have that kind of authority to fuck around with your trading. Having said that, unfortunately, because the bot is part of the education program, I can't really leave you hanging. So what I'm just going to simply say is I don't really recommend that a lot of people go down this route, and I don't want to see a lot of level 3ers talking about 3 high-low method. That's not really in your best interest. If anything, I would prefer you go with the set it and forget it as you're just starting out. Now, you know, some of you are a little more advanced and you're going to be like, well, fuck, I have to wait till level 3 to get this? So all I'm going to simply say, and maybe we use, let's see, do we have one of these bigger ones that's already fired here? Let's assume that this 66% level off of this bigger bot setup was hit. You know, it's awfully close. Maybe even people in this are like trailing stops. So the 50% of that move is right here. So on this event, you're going to move your stop to scratch, which I guess is, yeah, you're long from here. So at this point here, you're going to move your stop to scratch up to there. So at this point, you're going to start your count, and you're just going to simply count backwards. In essence, we're thinking here that how do you define a bull market? And who are the most vulnerable participants in the market? What usually happens in the market is market breaks out, comes back and does a Wyckoff check, then goes up, breaks out again, does a Wyckoff check, right? This is a pretty healthy, natural bull market. But, you know, let's say maybe that's a daily chart. Off of the like 15-minute or hourly chart, maybe you're day trading, right? What you often see is a lot of herky-jerky, kind of like stop runs and stuff. And so what are the most vulnerable stops, and how do you sort of stay in the trade as long as possible? So what I often suggest to people is, you know, let's say this, you know, where would we say here? 50% was there, right? So at this point, you move your stop to scratch. So here we're running up, and let's say, okay, now we've hit move stop to trailing, and we want to try and stay in the trade as long as possible. So we don't really want to get too focused in on the most recent lows, because often they're traps. So, you know, here, for example, if we change this to a line chart, you'll notice that actually it moves up in a very sort of stair-steppy fashion. And usually the most recent low is usually a trap low, where new people to trading. Let's say they bought here, they see this rally, they see the pullback, then they see a move up. They're going to quickly move their stop up to that level. And actually, it ends up almost becoming like a magnet for liquidity hunters. They love to go after this most recent low. So if I want to stay in this trade as long as possible, I don't want to trail my stop against the most recent low. Really what I want to do is I want to count backwards enough so that if this does some technical damage in the short term, it might still be a bull, and really all this was just a liquidity hunt to see if they could wash out some of the weak hands. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to count backwards, and I'm going to say, I'm not going to let this market structure frame my trade. I'm actually going to let this market structure way over here frame my trade. So that means I'm not going to get wrapped up in if we get washed out here. I'm going to count backwards. 1 low, 2 lows. In fact, I'll even let them do a big fuck you against this one. And I'm actually going to work my stop against this low. Now, all this does is it just gives you some flexibility, and it gives the market makers the ability to run stops, liquidity hunts, all that kind of fun stuff. And it doesn't really affect you. But at the same time, too, actually I put a tweet out to the effect earlier today. Half of a trader's job is just simply being comfortable, being uncomfortable. So something like the 3 high-low method in your stops, you're not even really too concerned with all this nonsense going on up here. I mean, if you ultimately hit your profit objective, fine, you're washed out, ding, 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 trade's over. What you're really trying to do is you're trying to say, okay, well, I'm going to give the market some flexibility that if it has to go sideways and wash out one of the recent lows, wash out 2 of the recent lows, well, gee whiz, I've got my stop here. And so as a result, I'm still in the trade. So that's sort of the premise behind the 3 high-low method. Is what you're really trying to do is you're just trying to stay in a winning trade as long as possible. And you're just giving the market permission to run these weak hands out. I don't know whether that helps answer the question or not. Like I said, as I said before, I don't even think it's really in your best interest in the level 1 program to even give yourself permission to manage stops, because it's just too much anxiety for a new person to trading to be thinking about all this. I like the idea of just set it and forget it. And in something like the bot, it's almost, there's a lot of debate in the trading world as to whether it's even in your best interest to have this 66% rule in your trading. Because sometimes, the damn market will go up and it'll do that and it'll break down and then it'll just go zipping right up to that 100%. Man, I see that all the time. And is it really in your best interest just to say, screw it? If we move up beyond 50%, I'm not going to let a winning trade turn into a losing trade. So I'm just going to put my stop here and that's it. All right, I either make $3 or I walk away at scratch. So there is an ongoing debate, and like I said, I don't even actually teach stop management rules and strategies, and there are a number of different strategies that I would use when I was trading the bot, when I'd use things like volatility indexes and indicators to help me see reversals in price, but that's very, very advanced stuff, and I don't, like I said, for somebody coming out of the level 1 program, I don't want you to get too wrapped up in stop management. But if you can think of that 3 high-low method the way that I described that, it's interesting using this test case, right? What was this low here? 53,144, 53.10 on the nose. So 53.10, and we got to a low there, 53,221. So 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows. Interesting. That stop never got run. All these other people, they all got washed out. So actually, that's a pretty good example of the 3 high-low method in action. Do you really want to have the kahunas to stick around and be able to go through all that? Maybe you're just like, Brian, if we, and let's assuming this move stopped to trailing's hit, the way I would prefer you to look at this is kind of go, if we start getting an M, then I'm just going to get the hell out of there. And I'm gone, right? That's kind of the way that I would prefer you look at it. But if you want to use trailing stops, then hopefully that was a pretty good description of the 3 high-low method. I don't know. What do you think? Is that half decent? Got a tutorial on 3 high-low in about 20 minutes. And like I said, I don't even really want you doing this in level 1. That's not even really in your best interest. Considering we want you to do 100 paper trades, if you show me 100 bots by time you get to level 3, then I'll know that you have a ton of traction under your tires, and you and I can work together trading the bot on various different markets and really customize it to your personal preference. So I doubt you could get 100 paper trades in before the end of this 3 months. So just go slowly. Keep paper trading. Use the information that I just gave you there a little bit to help you with your stop management. And just like I told Mr. I want to be a day trader in 1 year, show me. I want to just see tons of setups, tons of bots. And then you show me your evolution in that 3 high-low. If I hear that you're actually trading the bot using 3 high-low now with real money, I'd actually be pretty disappointed in you. All right. Hi, Brian. Interesting BCH today. Okay. On the subject of personality types, I'm an INTP. Oh, you're screwed, man. Just kidding. My strengths include being highly analytical and an abstract thinker, but my weaknesses include being somewhat disorganized and having a tendency to fall into nihilism. Ooh, interesting. I think I'm going to have a word of the day for my toilet paper today. I don't think I've ever heard that word before. I would be curious to see if there's any other traders on the TRI website who are also INTPs and how they set themselves up for success given the typical INTP weakness. Well, I hate to say it, this is exactly why I put this document together. I mean, I don't know. But let's work as a community and let's build this document out. If any of you, whoever you are, and you could put your identity is Mr. BCH, whatever the hell this thing is. Broiler Chicken Show, BSC, right? BCS. Beg your pardon. Put your initials if you want. And I would actually ask you to do exactly what you did in that homework document. Do it here. And let's build this out. And you might find we got 20, 30 people on the site that, it turns out I am an INFJ. Okay, cool. And then, in tomorrow's daily brief, we go, everybody raise their hand who's an INTP or whatever. Okay. What were the kind of things that you used to help you? Oh, Dave says, I did this. Kevin says, I did that. Joshua says, this actually helped. And 1 + 1 = 3. I don't have the answers. I honestly don't. I'm just one guy, and I'm not that smart as it is. But Colleen will say, Brian. So the cool part about it is anytime I diss myself, I throw in the little asterisk. Colleen says, I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, and gosh darn it, people like me, I think. So, but really what I would suggest is let's work as a community. Why not reach out to your fellow level 1ers in the classroom, right? That's why we put those classrooms together. See if there are any other level 1ers that are in the class. And then, do a little bit of Google research. There's tons of videos and stuff that people have done on different personality types. I don't have the answer. I honestly don't. And the problem is I am an ENFJ or whatever. So I can't look at the world from your INTP perspective. I'd like to, but I can't. But excellent question. Let's work as a community. In fact, whoever asked this question, let's talk about it in tomorrow's daily brief. Maybe we can ask Sjord to build into the dashboard, in our little journal thing, what type of personality I am. And are there any tools that maybe I can incorporate into my dashboard that'll help me sort of address, maybe there's like a personality type message of the day, ENFJs, quit thinking pie in the sky ideas. I don't know. But if anything, it's great that you're initiating a conversation. And if anything, this is the start of the conversation, not the end. So cool. All right. Hi, Brian. I want to have your thoughts on these stocks I picked. I was a little bit lucky on BCLI. I want to be more accurate. IBU. Okay. I mean, sure. Why not? Not quite sure what I'm looking at. Bot setup, good location, engulfing candle, RLZ, W forming. Okay, maybe. I like the LJ, so give me a nice break of that trend line and give me a W on the other side of this. Right now I see a V bottom, straight up, straight down, and now sideways. That little sideways action might actually be a W off a lower time frame chart. So you might frame something. It's probably like a little bot. Boom, 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 boom in there to take you up top here. 34 million out, 12.77, institution 6%, no debt, PE, price to books 1.0, EPS growth rate, looks fine. Sounds to me like you got a half decent fundamental name. I don't know whether technically I'm too jazzed. I mean, you can see where the bottom is here. If you did a reload zone off of that high back down to these lows, my hunch is reload zone's probably against your trend line here. So if anything, I kind of like the idea of a nice little dump against your lows and we'll stop you out. And then a nice little W comes in here and I'll buy. That's my honest opinion. Don't like the bear div over here or here. This is a V bottom in momentum. So yeah, same sort of thing. If anything, what I'd like to see is them dump the market to new lows, stop you out on the momentum not making new lows. Then that'll set up our bullish divergence, which sets up our trade going forward. Hopefully that helps. Next one. Well, you got your bull div. Looks like it's confirming, so that's good. Where's the W? I'd like to see a nice W now. So this is kind of one where it'd be on the radar screen. And now I'd just like to see this thing settle down. Give me a nice W to see if I can get in. Wouldn't mind seeing like 50% ranges over the past 52-week range, which will give you your nice conservative upside objective. So I don't see you actually painting any profit objectives. So that's something that looks like that's missing from your screen. Do we have one on here? Yeah. So what is it that you're going for here? Like, what's your profit objective? Is it an A, B, C, D? You're going to be taking profits up here. Brian, I said I'd buy down here, which means maybe I get my double up into this area or a 50% retracement of this entire range. Don't see profit objectives. What's your profit objective here? So that's both of them. Looks like we're missing. And this one, like I said, you probably do like a 50% roll, and it probably comes in somewhere around this gap level, which means maybe we get like a nice deep test of the lows. The div is already in. Then give me a W, which will frame that sort of $2. Nice W here, $1 of risk, move up into the gap, 50% level gives you your $2-3 of reward. So you're heading in a good direction. I mean, I like the fact that you got a nice fundamental screen, finding good value names, and now it's just a question of just getting good at this whole technical analysis stuff. So here, location good. Okay, I don't know what that means. I see we broke the lows here, so that's usually not a good sign. Wouldn't mind you sort of zoom out and show me like a more historical range. Why do you say this is good? I don't know whether it is or not. Momentum, it's nothing really to get excited about. If anything, the div comes in on a break of this high here. So you're actually going to have to see a bit of a rally here. That'll confirm that massive div. And what this looks like to me is like a big head and shoulder. So this is like left shoulder, neckline, head. Probably going to get a rally back to this neckline area. Then a dip down against shoulder. And then at that point, the div will be confirmed. Then a nice W that comes in here. Kind of like what you're saying here. I could see that trade set up for a move down the road. As well, too, you know, you want to draw like a trend line off of these peaks. Our rule is we want a W on the other side of this trend line. So we're down, up, sort of sideways. Not really the best looking W. Grade 3 English teacher. Nah, kind of maybe a C, C minus. You know, what I'd love to see, like I said, give us that rally up into this neckline, which confirms the bull div. Then we're going to hunt for the W, which frames the trade. So that's the way I look at it there. Also, too, you got a nasty bear div in RSI working. This is confirmed here. So really, until this is broken, we got a nice big fat W here. This is nothing more than a counter trend rally in a bear market. All right, boom, boom, boom. All right, well, good. I like the FA. And, you know, Kevin, if you're taking note, we should probably make sure all of those are on our stock screen list for our TRI SOF Club. Thank you for the research, EBU. But all of them, and actually, believe it or not, with the broader stock market, I like that same sort of thinking. Feels as though there should be some sort of just washout dump here. Maybe into like that Easter holiday. I don't know, something like that. And then once we get on the other side of that, then we start basing and sort of forming a bottom for like 420. The pot stocks rally a little bit, although Joe Biden's kind of shitting on pot right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that event goes in the U.S. But usually 420, it's a friendly market again. Right now, it feels like things are getting a bit expensive. So. And, you know, your ideas there, all of them, I like that idea of like one more push lower to set up some of those divs, especially on, I think, that first one that you showed us. I like a nice little push here to break some people's hearts to set up the trade going into the summer. I kind of like that thinking right now. I see that a lot on the names. So, please don't be insulted, but you asked my opinion. That's my opinion. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave the video at that. I've been barking at you guys for about an hour and a half or so. Hope you guys enjoyed that offering. Didn't really talk too much to the YouTube audience, but I'm kind of feeling talked out. So think I'm going to leave it at that, everybody. Have yourselves a great rest of your day. Hopefully you YouTubers got some value out of all that rant. Level 1ers, I would like to see Kiran come in and chat with you a little bit about Level 2 program next week in your review week. So, Kiran, if you're watching that, if we could make a plan for that, that would be cool. And, you know, Level 2 is really just tons and tons and tons of more tools to help you see better trade location, better trade location, better trade location. And, of course, Kiran is a professional day trader and I think an excellent mentor. So did see a lot of questions about that sort of I want to be a professional day trader. Man, I couldn't think of a better person to have you sort of go directly dovetailed into than Kiran's world. And he will put you through boot camp and he will get you up to speed. But, you know, don't make any excuses. If you're here to do this, it is hard work. And you have to be working every single day. Okay, rant. Have yourselves a great day. Thank you so much for your best wishes for Liam. I love that when I see those comments. Broo-hoo-hoo, I think you send good hugs and kisses. I love that. So wish me luck with Liam. It's a rainy day here in Vancouver, so it looks like we're going to be indoors. Have yourselves a great rest of your day. All the best, and bye for now.